Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz. Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity with Coach Renz. If you find me for the first time, we deconstruct Christianity on this channel. Um, so this is not a pro-Christian channel. We are having a discussion tonight. Uh, Definitely going to welcome people on. I see that we got a couple people already on live, but we're going to welcome some people on to be able to state their comments, and especially if someone can approve the point that we're talking about tonight, which is there a soul? 3 minutes, Tim? Really? 3 minutes? Why am I happy to feel crooked on here? Tim is the hall monitor for the show, so we're gonna let him be the hall monitor. But does the soul exist? And does heaven and hell exist? That is our primary subject for tonight. Of course, I know how you guys like to change the conversation to all other types of conversation. How you doing, Carla? Sean was on early. Sean been waiting. Let's do a little housekeeping. We get started about 5 minutes into the video. Before we actually get started on the conversation. Everything looks like it's working properly. Yep, good there. Just like to check everything out, make sure we're good to go. Yep, everything's good there. Facebook looks good. YouTube looks good. We only stream on Facebook and YouTube. Florida Geechee. What? You look spotty? What the hell does that mean? I've never heard that term before. If somebody on Facebook can just pop in a comment just so I can make sure that Facebook is working properly with its comments, that'd be great. That's not me trying to get people to comment. Always want to thank everybody who donates to the channel and supporting the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody who shares the videos, likes the videos, subscribes to the channels, or whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. I greatly appreciate your subscription. Appreciate Leon for letting me know that Facebook comments are also working. I know that everybody can't see everybody's comments, but if I comment on somebody's comment, I try to post it up there to make sure we all see it. Had us some good weather here locally. Now, I posted the beginnings of this conversation earlier today, about an hour or two ago. I was just doing some research on anesthesiology, which was a field that I had wanted to get into when I was younger. And it just led me to a thought process. And I'm going to use that as the beginning of our arguing that we're going to have tonight. You was commenting on your, I was commenting on your, no, I just never heard that. I figured it was a comment. I didn't take it the wrong way. But, oh, on your shirt. Appreciate it. Spody. Might have to use that term. You know, slang keep changing so quickly. I don't even try to keep up no more. If you saw the video that I posted about an hour ago about heaven and hell, the soul, actually it was about the soul. I didn't even talk about heaven and hell that much in the video. I wanted to save everything for here. So if you saw that video already, let me know if you've already seen that video. If you have not seen that video, you can still go watch it. This is Apple Juice for the TikTok, that's saying on TikTok, Facebook and YouTube onlookers. This is not, see how thin and clear it is. This is Apple Juice. Oh, sporting. Okay, I get it. I'm gonna hold my head for a second. So thank you everybody for being on here. Haven't seen these in a while. So we go live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube only. So if you want to keep track, turn your, I don't know how you turn notifications on Facebook, but turn your notifications on, and hopefully I did meet a guy Well, I've met him a couple times before. Um, Debbie, you saw the video. Cool, 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 cool. So bear with me as I repeat some of the things on the video. Uh, I did meet a guy who was out at Cigar International the other night, Saturday. I've met him a couple of times, but uh, he was telling me that his notifications don't pop up to let him know when we're live. So if you're not receiving notifications, it's something within your settings that you need to go and change in order for you to make sure that you get the notifications. And if I'm ever in your town, let me know. I'll let you know when I'm traveling. I will tell you, we have solidly decided that we are going to move to Puerto Rico at the end of October. So San Antonio has been nice, but we're going to leave. Not that San Antonio is bad. It's just we want to live in the tropics for a while. Hell, let's get started. It's 6 minutes past, 6 minutes start time, so let's get started. Still want you to go and watch that other video, simply because I want the views. I'll just be straight up about it. I want the damn views. Because the algorithm is doing some funny stuff as Quran. I hope I'm saying that right. Quran or Koran. Mr. Smith, put it that way. I think it's Mr. Smith. Facebook algorithm surely has been acting up, as my viewership on Facebook has dropped dramatically over these last like 7, 8, 9 months. So I don't know what they're doing with it. Planning any plans to trip to the UK? As soon as I finish paying off the child support arrearage, yes, we will be going all to a bunch of different places. The UK will be one of those places, but only in the summertime. But so let's get started. When I was in high school, one of the fields of interest that I had was anesthesiology. At that time frame of my life, I had never had any surgeries, had never been under anesthesia. So I had ideas about it, even as I was deconstructing from Christianity. So in the fact that I wanted to do that when I was in high school, I did a lot of research, went and talked to anesthesiologists to kind of get an idea for it. Quran. Okay, gotcha. Quran. So I did a lot of research on it. Well, in my research on anesthesiology, I realized that there were different levels within putting a person under, from the locals that you may get, or epidural or something of that nature, where the connectivity of the brain to the rest of the body is different depending upon what type of anesthesia you go up under. So when you go up under a local or something like an epidural, your neurons are not blocked as much and remain on the same level or similar level to that to which you are dreaming. So this is why people who have locals or have a local or less anesthesia will still be able to have dreams and things of that nature. Now, I had forgotten, by the time I had any surgeries, I had forgotten that when a person is under general anesthesia, it is a complete blocking of your neurons to your body, just to put it in simple terms. It's a complete block. So when I did have anesthesia the first time, I was fully expecting to go into a altered state of reality, that when I came out, I was going to see shit. I was going to be like, man, when I was under, I saw this, I saw that. I was looking forward to that aspect of it. But nothing happened. The second time, the third time, I was expecting, okay, this time I meditated before going into the surgery. I want to, let me get my brain right. Maybe I wasn't attuned. And so I went under, just woke up. Time passed and I was unaware of anything that had of time, realities. There was nothing. So I was very, very disappointed. So my wife and I was having a conversation about it the other day, and which made me go back and do some more research about anesthesia. So when I did this research on anesthesia here recently to see what new things people have discovered over the last 30, 40 years since the last time I looked at it, basically your body and your mind and body severs its connection. Your mind is still active, your body is still active, but as far as living in any type of reality, you do not live in any reality when you're under anesthesia. It's a total neurological block. So since you have this total neurological block, your mind is just stagnant inside your body, which some of the research that I did, they were talking about um, the fact that some anesthesiologists, when they talk about the soul, have decided or are in the thinking that in order to have the soul slash consciousness is connected to the experiences of the body. That without the experience of the body, there is no soul, there is no connection. Now, this still leaves open the idea of not fully understanding how the soul works, if there even is a soul. But from most of the anesthesiology journals that I researched, there seems to be the idea that without the body, there is no soul because there is no connection, there is no alternate reality, there is nothing. But of course, more study has to be done, was what was said at the end of every research paper that I read over the last couple of days concerning it. But just with the knowledge that we have right now, since as Leon is saying, same experience, just a blip after waking up. Sean was under for 6 to 7 hours with his back surgery. Same, just woke up. Nothing, just large time gap. So let's argue. If you experience nothing, this is the time frame where your mind is absent, whether it's not really absent of the body, but everything is blocked from the body. And when it's blocked from the body, you experience absolutely nothing. There is no heaven, there's no hell, there's no seeing your relatives, there's none of these things. All you experience is nothingness, complete absence of reality and of any idea of life. Now, some people are going to compare this to a near-death experience. Well, in the near-death experience is completely different. Your connections to the body, your connections to reality is not severed, it still remains. But because you have already had these preconceived ideas of seeing the white light, these ideas of seeing your relatives, what hell is like, what heaven is like, who Jesus is, who Shanti is, who Quetzalcoatl, Oshun, your ancestors. You already have these preconceived notions before this DMT is dropped into your brain when you have a near-death experience or you are dying, that your mind manifests these creations in your mind. They're all just within your mind. You're able to manifest these mental realities. But there's no proof that these mental realities exist beyond what your mind has conceived them, as well as the fact that you are the one who creates it. Even in samsara, it's the discussion that the demons that you create, that you see during samsara, which is Tibetan Buddhism, these are demons that your mind creates. So the Buddhists accept that your mind is creating these demons or these situations that you're experiencing. So without the body, where is the connection? There is none. And maybe this is why all the religions say that when you go to heaven, or whoever heaven you have, whether it's Islamic, Buddhist, the Kemetic, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, all of them, you have a body. There is always a body that you have to have in order to go to Tartarus, in order to go to Elysium, in order to go to the field of reeds. You have to have this body, this right here. And they didn't think, oh, a body from the past or a body from the future. It is the current body that the person dies in. Oh, but with anesthesia, you have no connection to the body. And when you don't, there is nothing. Absolute nothing. time, as time moves on Earth, because time is relative to what planet you're on, solar system, all those sorts of things, time ceases to exist. So could you justify that there is no soul? Could you say that without the body, the soul doesn't exist? Without the body, consciousness doesn't exist. Now we know that energy exists. We know that energy is never destroyed, just transmute from one thing to another. And as I've said many times, does that mean that as your body goes into the ground or burned into ashes or dropped off into the ocean, your body becomes whatever the ground is? Your ashes become different shit in the air. Your body is consumed by the sea life, and it then just moves that energy into production of whatever it needs to survive, and then continues and continues and continues. This apple juice could have once been someone's body. This cigar and the other one that I'm gonna start smoking after I finish this one could have once been someone's body. So there, of course, is the we don't fully know. There is that statement. We don't fully know. But based on what we do know, it is conceivable to say the soul only exists as long as you have consciousness inside of a body. And once that is tethered, once that tether is broken, there's nothingness. I know that doesn't sound nice. I know a lot of people wouldn't want that to be, but it's nice to say, oh, when I die, I'm going to see my grandparents. I would love to see my grandmother. I would love to see my grandfather. I would love to see anybody that I have loved. I would love to see them. That'd be nice. That's so nice. Such it makes you feel comfortable. But if I deal with reality of what we know, it means nothing. So that's pretty much my spiel that I talked about in that video. But let's understand that people who are religious, they're going to be the religious contemplations of the soul and the spirit. I was talking, so I didn't read everybody's comment. Tim Campbell said, I guess it does. That's what they call it. The soul I'm talking of. I can tell the difference in the soul, the spirit in me. How can you tell the difference? Is it an emotion? Is it a feeling? Because emotions and feelings are connected to the body. The neurons that happen within the body, your emotions make you feel certain ways, and physically you have a connection with your arms, legs, and everything else. So is that a spirit? And is there a difference between the soul and the spirit? What's the difference? So Tim says he knows he has what the masses call a soul. But how do you prove that? How can we identify it? How is that ever observed? And I guess Tim continued and was saying that but see, that's the thing, you feel it exists. There's no proof that it exists. You study that the soul is a particle of light. How do we know? What study says that it's a particle of light, fire? Now, if the soul is energy, then yes, it would transmute from one thing to another thing. But we have no proof of what those things are that it transmutes to us. So how will we ever know? Right. Your brain just uses the familiar to relate to everything, to life, to traumatic events, which what people would say is a near death. Your brain is just constantly relating life, its experiences, based on what has been given over the time frame of your life. when you, if you just read near-death experiences by Christians, they often see the same thing. If you just read near-death experiences by people who don't participate in Christianity, but they live in a predominantly Christian nation, they just seem to experience the same thing. And they watch movies and all these sort of things. Those things are impactful to your thought process. But if you were to go to India and you're talking to Muslims and Hindus people, their near-death experiences are completely different in the sense of, yeah, they may go to some type of heaven, nirvana, but what they see is Shanti. They see Brahma. They don't see Jesus. Muslims might see Muhammad. They don't see Jesus. Well, they might see Jesus, but their version of Jesus. So it all comes down to your personal emotions and your personal experiences. And see, that's the question. Could the soul be the energy firing in our body that makes us move, speak, think, basically make us us? That's the $1,000,000 question. The Egyptians thought that the soul was in the heart. This is why the heart was put into a jar, and the brain, they didn't think that the soul was in the brain, so they would snatch that out through your nose and throw that away because they thought the soul was located in your heart, but we have no idea. Eric is saying they say the soul is the manifestation of all your subconscious thoughts, but the spirit is merely an emotion you're supposed to feel. But that would still make it only relatable to who you are if it's just the subconscious thoughts, because your subconscious thoughts, if you've never been to, let's say you was pre-internet, you've never been to India, you never read a book on it, you never saw pictures of it, your subconscious wouldn't be able to produce anything from India. It would only produce things from wherever you were born, whatever you experienced. You got to convince me that we actually have free will before I can ever fathom the concept of a soul. Well, I do accept that we have free will. I don't think that free will is based on anyone's God or anything of that nature. Now, there are controllers that can push you to make this decision or that decision, meaning like your boss can tell you what to do. Your wife or husband can suggest things to you. But ultimately, you have to make a decision on what you're going to do, weighing the consequences. So ultimately, you do make the decisions for your life. But there are many influences that are around you. Carlos said, I had a near-death experience and I was raised Norse pagan. Uh, and I would love to hear your experience. It may further my conversation, my thought process. It may not. Carla, would you like to come on and tell us about your near-death experience? Because I've always been interested in people who have near-death experiences. But it's just that my research in it have found that it's more focused on what they have grown up with. Like, if you was, I think you said you was raised Norse. I'm not going to call it pagan because it's not pagan. Did you see Thor and Odin? Did you see Lady Sif? Like, did you go to Valhalla? You know what I mean? Like, what did you see? I can, but I'm shy. You'll be all right. So you said I can. So I'm gonna take your I can as you will. So let me put the link on here for Carla. The link is for Carla. And if anybody else want to come on, let me know. Now, my favorite singer here, Patsy Cline, one of my favorite singers, said that the soul comes from your emotions. But you can't have emotion without it being processed through your brain. So the soul is in the brain. But your heart has, the reason why we feel emotions in our heart and we can feel them in our gut is that our heart has neural pathways similar to are I'm about to bring Carl on similar pathways to check that out. Turn the speaker on real quick to our brain. So our heart thinks. All right. Welcome, Carla.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Where are you located? Just curious.
I'm over here in Guernsey, Wyoming.
Oh, damn. It's cold.
Believe it or not, it was 44 degrees today, so it was balmy.
Okay,
It was like 12 below like 3 days ago.
44 degrees to me is cold.
Well, you're in Texas. That's not surprising.
Yeah. So you say you had a near-death experience. You was in a convoy crash?
Roger. I was in the Army. I was stationed in Korea. I was with Bravo 2-1, 35th Air Defense.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a situation where basically we were hopping sites, and no offense to the Southern folk, but y'all don't know how to drive on ice in January. So I got because I was a trustworthy driver, I was put with the medics as their driver. I was raised in Alaska, so you can probably know what my skill set's going to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Came to a stop, didn't crash, and then we got rear-ended. My FLA got slammed under our GMT, which had live missiles on them.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much everything went black. And the next thing I knew is everything's a little patchy, but it's one of those I can remember. I saw one of my patron deities, which is going to be Thor and Tyr.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them being there and saying, you still have a job to get done.
Wait, you said Thor and who?
Tyr. Tyr. Tyr.
Who is that?
He is the god of justice, oath, judicial. He is the god that has the missing right hand. If you look him up, he is the one out of all the gods that was the bravest, because he put his right hand in the mouth of Fenris while they were tying the Chaos Wolf down.
Okay.
And he's also the god of oath keeping, because he kept his oath that he would not remove his hand from the wolf's mouth. And the wolf chomped down and made his hand become a stump.
Okay. So you saw Thor and you saw Tyr.
Yeah, Tyr.
Continue.
And it was basically, for me, it was, you still got a job to do. You still got you got soldiers to take care of, type thing. And I know I came in and out. I got drugged, and it's like, being the fact I was in Korea, I'm not sure if you know much about the drivers over there. They'll make NASCAR look slow.
Okay. I've never been there yet.
So they're definitely different than us. We'll try to go around. They don't care. They'll drive right next to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fun. So all I remember is really, I looked up, once I rolled out my FLA, I saw two headlights rolled, and the next thing I knew was somebody was dragging me, and I thought it was one of our guys, and nobody had an explanation, because one moment they because of the chaos and everything going on, 1 minute they thought I was dead because they couldn't get my doc. He said he couldn't get anything. Next thing they knew is that I'm leaning up against one of the guardrails, and my medic almost killed me because he did not like the situation, because I actually turned the wheel hard so I could protect Doc. Right. So I took on 90% of that damage myself.
So you didn't see Jesus, the white light?
The only light I saw was two headlights coming my direction there, boss.
But you
But no,
saw
I
north
saw
side.
I saw my Norse deities,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's one of those. I'm not hard set to say that that's a religious experience or something like that, because I've done a lot of. I'm raised my family's raised eclectic pagans. My mom made a point of making sure I learned many different religions. And that's something I also came across myself, is that depending on what you're raised is what you see.
Right.
So I'm not sure if it's a combination of my religious belief, or a religious belief and the recesses of the psychology.
And see, that's what I do think it is. I think it's however you were raised and the psychology that the influences that were around you that then dictate when that DMT releases into your brain what you
Mhm.
then. And even though I've said that many times, it's great to have somebody who's experienced that very thing, and for them to have seen exactly what they were raised to understand, raised to know, and raised to believe, and then what. But because you was in Wyoming, that's why I was surprised you didn't see any Jesus stuff or anything like that, because I'm pretty sure you were surrounded by Christianity as you were growing
Well,
up.
well, my dad was in the Army, so I bounced around a little bit. So most of my raising was in combination of of Alaska and then Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
Oh, right down the street.
Yep.
Yeah,
So it's
I'm in Tennessee.
one of those, like, both areas are quite religious, but I also, when I was in Alaska, I tended to hang out with a lot of the natives, a
Mm.
lot of the like the Athabascans and them folk, and I learned a little bit of their stuff. So I have like multiple influences that toss the coin, figure out which one I would have saw type thing.
Right. But that home influence was the um, Norse deities,
Yep,
and so that's the one you saw.
yep,
Makes perfect sense to me. That would be what you would see. When you go into that near-death experience. So I appreciate it.
no problem.
Anything else you want to add?
No, not really. That's fairly cut and dry for me, at least.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you for getting over your shyness.
No problem. Yep.
All right,
Have a great day.
thank you too. Stay on the chat though.
I will.
All right, thanks.
Bye. Okay. Let's see here.
So, what do you guys think? According to Carver's testimony, grew up Norse, even although understood a bunch of other different religious connotations, still the primary thing that she grew up with was the North mythologies or North religion. So in her brain, when she had a near-death experience and that DMT is released, what she see? Thor and Thyre, which now I'm going to have to go do some more research on Thyre because I didn't know who that was. So now that it's been explained, I got to get some deeper stuff. You know, but that's the thing about when people have these near-death experiences, they see what they were brought up. Tired. Thank you. They see what they was brought up. I can't imagine what I would see. I would probably see the God of the Bible and then argue with him. Like, why your shit is full of shit. you know. Um, so when I do see, and somebody said these Christian networks, I didn't. As it was earlier, when these Christian networks always bring people up there and they talk about their near-death experience, I think some of it is scripted, while others are because they grew up in that belief. Oh, similar to tier. Okay, so tier. That's what we're just gonna call it tier. So when some of these people come onto these Christian networks or they're in some church and they're talking about their near death and they saw Jesus, they saw God, they saw the angels, and so on and so forth. I saw my grandmother, my parents, that they're seeing what they desire to see and they're seeing what they've been brought up to see, right? So that's all it is. Now, does that prove that a soul exists? Well, that seems sketchy. Does that prove that a soul exists? Or does that demonstrate the power of the brain when it's have DMT, which DMT is the thing that DMT is a hallucinogen. This is what you find in what's the stuff in South America? In that, well, you got the Namaskara mushroom, but you got ayahuasca. This is what you experience when you take ayahuasca. Is ayahuasca combined with another plant, because ayahuasca is like pure DMT. It will release that DMT into your brain, and then you go and you see visions and so on and so forth. But it's just really telling you who you are, the thoughts that you have within yourself. It's not, people say that they connected to a whole spiritual plane, but did you just really connect to a part of your brain that you've ignored? Right? I'm gonna give you, I deleted your comments once raw. My channel is respectful to everybody. I don't give two rat's asses about when it comes to the whole conversation that I'm not going to invoke with you. If you cannot be polite and just accept people for whoever they are, I have no bearing, no statements about somebody's gender, and it may not even be the case. So if you can't be polite, you can get the hell on. Good, you're out. Appreciate it. Be out, and you never have to come back. You see, this is one of those things where people who call themselves adepts or masters and things, and it really gets on my nerves, because people like to put themselves on this pedestal of saying that they're an adept or they're a master or something like that, that they're mentally elevated, but then they can't get past physical norms, they can't get past cultural changes and things of that nature, and they have to make everything small into the little bitty box of their brain, and they can't have a respectful conversation. And instead of talking about the information that was provided, what they have to do is try to find something else to talk about, because they don't have the bandwidth in their brain to have an intellectual conversation. So people like that, yes, I will delete you, I will ban you, I will block you, whatever it is, because you can kick rocks, for I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it differently, but you can kick rocks. You are not required to be here. Oh, somebody on YouTube is just making some disparaging comments, and I don't like those. I don't appreciate those. We're adults here, and if you can't be an adult, then you need to go find your childish religious pages and go be on those. So for the Facebook people didn't see the comments, and it was just been a waste of your mental energy to see them. But this is why it's so hard to deal with religious people, and this is why we walk away from these religions. They have so many fantasies, things that they expect you to believe, like heaven and hell, their versions of heaven and hell, their versions of angels and demons and gods and goddesses and all these different things. Yet when they're talking to somebody else, they can't have an adult conversation about it and look at the facts and just promote their fact. Their burden of proof is on them, but yet they can never prove it. So instead, they have to go after people for what they believe to be character flaws or flaws within themselves. Y'all know how many people I get talking about my damn cigars, but this is a blessing. If I did believe in their God, I'd be like, well, on Friday, cigar tobacco is from the earth. God made the earth. That way it's good. He said everything he made was good, so it's good. So anyway, did anybody else have any near-death experiences? Because I would love to hear your story. And I've seen people saying that they went in under anesthesia and it was just a blankness of time. You had no idea. The last surgery I had was a dental surgery. I don't know if you guys remember, I was really struggling on pronouncing certain words when they took these two back teeth out, right? And I'll put the link back up, Eric. And I was pissed because I didn't see shit. And then when Angelina told me that, like 3-4 hours that went by, I was like, damn, I lost 3-4 hours of my life, of my consciousness, where nothing existed. And that's not fun. If you had, Leon, if you want to click on that link and tell us about your near-death experience, you're more than welcome to come and tell us about it. Because one of the other things that I find interesting is that I've talked to people rather, who have, when they were Christian, they had a near-death experience and they saw the Jesus and all that sort of thing. But then they walked away from that faith, and so they realized, or to them, they said that that near-death experience was just what their mind conjured because of what they had been taught as a child. Trauma said he had one, but he's a child behind the scenes. And I'm really curious. Like I'm always curious as to what you guys look like, who you are. No, but none of that proves heaven or hell's. Like we like to think that those types of things exist. It'd be great because here's the thing is, most people, and until somebody comes up and put this microphone back in, most people are afraid of death. Put that back in. In one degree or another, most people are afraid of death. And most of the time, people who are non-religious, their fear of death comes from the fact that they haven't achieved everything they desire to achieve. They haven't done everything they desire to do. Their bucket list, they've got a lot of unchecked boxes on them. They have regrets of things, or how they treated people, or relationships that they lost, or something of that norm. And that is their fear of death. I'm amazed at how many Christians are fearful of death. They claim that they're going to heaven, but they hold on to life so tightly, just like anybody else would. But yet they're supposed to believe that they're going to heaven. If you're believing that you're going to heaven, you should welcome death. You should be like, oh yes, it's about time. Waiting on you, Eric. The link has been posted. But you gotta brush your hair. Get coal out your eye. But you know, Eric is taking a little bit of time. So who said that they would? Leon, you're more than welcome to come on. Shit, whoever come on first is first. That's where you got your name from. Trauma said that's where he got his name, Trauma Aladdin, from. I don't see the comment that lets me know that. I think he said that you had one, you had trauma in a hospital. I posted the link. Let me post it again. I'm posting it right now, Eric. So Sean said he looks forward to it as one long nap. Oh, Trauma, in your car, you had a car accident in the hospital. They called you Aladdin. So that's why you got the name Trauma Aladdin. Yeah, I don't look forward to death right now. Only because there are things that I want to see and do, and I don't have any grandkids, but I'm not trying to have any either. But there's just places I haven't visited, things I haven't studied, archaeological sites I haven't been to. So that is the only reason why I would hold on to life right now, is because of things I want to see and do. But if life were to hand me a bag of Alzheimer's, oh, it's time to go. I'm not staying around here for that bullshit. I'm posting the link on both YouTube and Facebook. Right, Deborah. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And at some point, I'm going to be ready for it. I told Angelina, I get old and decrepit. Just wheel me to like the edge of a cliff and then act like you forgot something in the car. When you come back, I'll be gone. Pew, right off. If I can't live life the way I want to live life, I wouldn't want to be here for this life. And I don't have a fear of any hell or expectations of heaven, so I'm good. It'd just be the blackness, the darkness, it'll be the situation when I was under anesthesia. It's just nothing. It's just a ceasing of existing. I am not recommending that anybody do DMT, but give me an opportunity to go to South America or Jamaica and do ayahuasca, I most certainly will. Because I recognize that things like ayahuasca, shrooms, I don't look at them as something to do for recreation or fun, and I'm not looking at them for something to connect to God. It's really just, I want to get deeper into my own mind. That's all it means to me. I want to get deeper into my mind. And we bring Eric up. Welcome, Eric.
What's up? So I'm gonna try to make this real quick because I know other people want to get on. So I had what they would call 2 near-death experiences. The first one is when I had my leg amputated from cancer, and I coded on the table. And because I grew up holy, right? I was told that you got a spirit, and your spirit lives inside of you, and when you die, it walks to. If you ain't been, dead right, it walks to earth and this, that, and the third. It's a long story, but so I thought when I coded on the table, I thought I could see the doctor.
Hold on 1 second. I'm okay. I'm bringing Leon on so he can hear everything because I think when you click the link, you can't hear. But Leon, we're gonna let Eric go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so when I coded on the table, I could, in my head, in my thought process, I thought I seen myself looking at myself on the table and the doctors trying to bring me back. But the older I got, the more I realized that probably was my subconscious creating some kind of picture in my head of what happened. Because to be honest with you, I don't really remember coding on the table, and I don't remember waking up, or I don't remember any of that stuff when I was 11 years old. But that's the way I tried to rationalize what happened. So my second one is when I had a car accident, and the car accident was so bad, I coded on the way to the hospital. But I don't remember nothing with that. No memory recollection or anything. No white lights, no man saying welcome here, and any of that stuff. And my 2 heart operations, when you have an open heart surgery,
Right.
you basically, technically, you dead. You dead.
Right.
No bright lights, no circle of light, nobody standing on top of a cloud saying you're welcome here. None of that stuff. So I think the near-death experiences people claim to have or say they have is just your mind trying to rationalize what just happened. Because technically, when you go under, you medically being put under. You're cutting the connection between your brain and your body.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, your brain doesn't really. This is my personal thought. Your brain can't really understand what's happening. So when it comes back, it try to bridge the gap on what you've been taught, what you've been thought to believe, and it tries to give you some kind of I don't know, I guess some type of understanding of what just happened. A lot of people say they see these bright lights and the God saying it's not your time yet, go back now, you got more work to do. That's just to me, that's just your brain trying to rationalize what just happened based on belief and what you understand about death, because you don't know anything about death. Nobody knows anything about death. Nobody. So that's my take.
And even when they say you're dead on the table, your brain is still functioning.
Well, no, at that time, well, when they say you coded,
Oh, you coded.
yeah, they say you coded. That mean all it means is that your heart stopped.
Right.
That's basically all it means. Your brain can function a good 15, sometimes 30 seconds before it starts shutting down itself if no oxygen is going to your brain.
Right. So
So
you're not dead.
I'm not dead. No, I just coded.
Right.
I just coded. But yeah, that's what I mean when I say I think your brain just can't figure out what just happened because it's all you medically induced. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when you snap back, your brain gotta try to figure out what just happened, what just happened. And then within your the subconscious talk to your conscious and let you, well, God said, and then you got people saying, you must have more work to do. And then you start to develop an idea that might be what happened. That might be what happened. God wasn't ready for me yet. Nah, man. Just like there's the saying that goes, doctors never really save your life. They just extend it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So I guess when people get an understanding of how the brain works and just to understand it, because you really don't know, nobody really knows how the brain works. But once you get the basics down, you can look past all of this seeing lights and God saying it ain't your time yet and this, that, and the third, because I mean it's all for me it's all a pipe dream. It's all just a bunch of mumbo jumbo people want you to believe. So it'll justify what they believe.
No, I agree. And kind of like what this guy Sean just said, what Sean just said is that when you are coming out of the anesthesia
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes less and less, and your
Mm-hmm.
brain starts redeveloping those connections to
Mm-hmm.
the rest of your body and your reality, is
Yep.
during that little space of time, oh, I saw a light. But it's just you waking up out of the anesthesia.
That's it.
And this is why in surgery,
you
they
ever,
have to monitor you to know to
you
give you
ever,
some more.
yeah, you ever, now this is what we did as kids. You ever like take deep breaths, put your back against the wall and have somebody press on your chest till you pass out?
Hell no.
We used to do that as kids, right? We used to do that as kids.
Even Leon laughing at you too.
No, I'm serious. And every time, and I did it not a whole lot, but every time I did it, I would see everything would go completely white or completely black. It would go white before it go black.
You just shocked the shit out your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
The nervous system in your brain all got shocked.
Exactly. All this that could be a possibility of this white light everybody's seeing. So I mean, it could be a number of things, man. But I just know for me, it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo that people want you to believe to justify what they believe. And if they get enough people saying it, then they got another person that can convince another person that this shit is real. When in actuality, it is not that. It's so far from that.
No, it's not. Well,
But
I appreciate you.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Gonna let Leon get his part in.
All right.
Welcome to the show, Leon. Thank you for always being here.
You're welcome. Well, mine's quite consistent with my own beliefs, which is I've never really had any faith.
I'm gonna need you to speak a little closer to the microphone. And are you Scottish or Irish?
No, Yorkshire, England.
Okay, I can hear it now.
Yeah, well, mine's quite consistent with my own beliefs, which have always been nothing. I've never really had any faith. So I'll tell the story. I was racing my brother on push bikes through a graveyard. And my dad pulled up alongside of him to tell us to slow down because we were going dangerous fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so my brother swerved away from him. I've swerved away from my brother, and I've come off and gone face first through a gravestone.
Damn.
It's hit me in the chin, in the neck, the collarbone, and about 10, 20 seconds later, I'm unconscious. I couldn't breathe. I didn't see anything at all, but I heard myself. I talked myself through it, and I told myself, you need to get up and start breathing if you're ever going to breathe again. And
right.
I came to my dad picking me up. So that's very consistent with what I've always believed, which is that there's nothing after. It's either you keep going or that's it.
Right. And I'm in 100% agreement with you on that one. Like you either tell yourself to get the hell up, or that's it. Like when my dad was when he had a stroke and he was dying, you know, I literally told him either get your ass up and overcome this, or just go on into the darkness. You know, make up your mind of what you're going to do.
What I've always been told is if you're in a situation like that, you get yourself out of it.
Right.
You tell yourself to get out of it, or you accept it.
Yeah. And you went headfirst into a gravestone?
Straight through it, smashed it to pieces.
I'm sorry, the irony of it. The irony of you hitting a gravestone is funny. I know it wasn't funny then, but it's funny to me now.
It's comical. It's comical.
Yeah. So, and you didn't see nothing?
No, just went black, and I've kind of just taught myself through it. Right, you're out. You're not breathing. You need to get up and start breathing.
And that's the thing, when your body experiences a tremendous amount of pain, you either see that flash of white or you see blackness, because your body is trying to shut down because it's too much pain. So your brain is trying to like cut things off. It sends those little beta blockers out to cut that stuff off so that your body can heal from this damage, or not just sit there writhing in agony. Because like when I got hurt in the Marine Corps, I saw the first time it was blackness, and then I went home. I called myself gonna soak in a tub, and then I just started seeing white, but it was the pain, and I knew I was about to pass out. You know, so I was like, rush me to the hospital. So I can see when you hit the gravestone,
Oh, that first moment of contact, there was a bit of a flash.
Mm-hmm. And then your brain is like, hey, we gotta bring this guy, we gotta shut down all these other activities because you just had some major head trauma right there.
Yeah, it was unconscious or go into shock, and shock's far more dangerous. Your body will choose unconscious if it can.
No, I understand completely. I'm still laughing at you for hitting the gravestone, but
oh yeah, of all things to nearly tap me out.
Yeah. And when you grew up, did you grow up not believing in the Christianities and all that?
No, I didn't. I went to a religious school for a while because it was the best one in the catchment area to get me into a better school.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned quite a bit about it from that. I was always, well, me and my brothers, after about a year of being in that school, were pulled into the head teacher's office and told we weren't allowed to ask questions in class because we were making other children question their religion.
So you went to I'm assuming a Catholic school.
And
and you couldn't ask questions.
Yep.
Right. So you was already in the mindset of this stuff may not be accurate because how old were you?
When I had the accident.
No, when you was in the school.
Oh, that was very young. That was up till about year 4, so I'll have been about 7 or 8.
Okay, so you're 7 or 8 asking questions, which that's a good age to start. You're inquisitive, critically thinking at that age, and that's good. So you didn't have the religion being pounded in your head. So by the time you have this accident, it wasn't ingrained in you to see Jesus.
Exactly.
Right, gotcha. And that's just more of what I'm saying. It depends on what you were taught and what you believed and accepted that determines how you respond to these events in your life.
Yeah, exactly. I was always taught, no one knows, it's probably like going to sleep. It probably just goes dark. And then there's nothing to remember.
That's what I think. Well, I appreciate you coming on in Yorkshire. You said Yorkshire?
Yeah, Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. I have an uncle who lives in Banbury, some little small ass town south of London.
Oh, I'm way north of London.
Mm. Yep. Okay. Well, if I ever come, well, I will eventually come to London. I'll make sure you know.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure there's a pot of coffee or whatever on there.
Yeah, because I don't like beer. Although they had this thing, and I know it's completely off subject. When I was in Germany, we used to go to London and get this drink called a snake bite or a
Oh yeah,
scorpion
yeah,
snake bite. So you know what a snake bite is? It's like
yeah.
the is what?
Strongbow cider and blackcurrant.
That is. That shit is good. That's good. So you can have. I have one of those. Well, I appreciate you, Leon. Look forward to you still being on the channel and commenting with everybody. And thank you for sharing.
You too. I enjoyed the content.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too.
So, as we see, this is the norm is really based on what you grew up believing, what you were taught. Um, I hope everybody understood Leon perfectly clear. You know, and it's, y'all was bloody helling and everything. We're living in a, let's see, what is, I'm trying to catch up. We're living in a dream of ourselves from on another planet dimension where where we die, we wake up. When we die, we wake up. That would be nice, but how do we know that that's true? And you've heard that we're on a ship. I have no, and, oh, like a spaceship. Okay. I hope now with Tim, I don't know if he's being serious or not. He could be talking about literal snakes, but a snake bite as a drink, if you're ever anywhere around the UK, I recommend you have a snake bite. It is a great drink. Nah, you ain't got to dull down your accent. I heard you perfectly clear. As long as I can hear you, I can translate British a bit. Anybody else had any experiences of that nature? Or we're at that time frame where we can have a conversation about anything. So if there's any other conversation that you want to have, I usually like to devote the first hour to our conversation. That first hour has gone by very quickly, I might add. So if there's anything else. Depends on where I'm at in Europe. If I have some coffee and some biscuits. But I really appreciate everybody who's commented, who's came on. The bravery to come on and talk about this stuff is always appreciated. But there's too much evidence where people of different groups have had different experiences to be able to hard code and say this you're going to go to heaven, you're going to go to hell, or any of those kinds of things. These are just the psychosis that people create for other people based on their own belief system. And your belief system is what's going to determine what you see. Now, the real question would be then, when you do die, and your body and your mind is completely severed from each other, no one can accurately say they know what's going to happen because no one knows. Hey, Leon, don't be you did very well on camera. Don't worry about that. You did great. But nobody can prove it. Nobody can demonstrate it. They like to say that Jesus went to heaven and he's coming back, but we ain't seen it. The book of Enoch says that that Methuselah went to Enoch and he came down from heaven and had conversations with him. or if Methuselah went up to heaven and had a conversation with him. But either way, somebody came back to earth, according to that book, but that's fan fiction book. No proof of it. Elijah and Moses supposed to come back at the end of time. No proof of it. All right. We're gonna bring one of my favorite names on here on the stage. Can you sing for us, Miss Patsy Cline?
Yes, I can.
I told you that's one of my favorites.
I thought you'd never ask.
I'm waiting.
Crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy. Crazy for feeling so blue. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted. And then someday you'd leave me for somebody new.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Worry. Why do I let myself worry? Wondering what in the world did I do? Oh, crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you.
Oh, that was amazing. That was so great. That is, and of course, my favorite Patsy Cline song, by the way, as it is for many people. Thank you so
See,
much.
she's not dead. She's not dead.
Huh?
She's not dead. She's living
Patsy
right
still
here.
alive?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be damned. I just assumed that was an assumption. I never know who's alive and who's dead. I'll be finding out people died 6, 7, 8 years ago and be like, I thought they were still alive.
You never know, do you?
I know. Yeah, I mean, I need to. Woo. I like that Patsy Cline right there. Well, I tell you, got me all warmed up in here. It's cold in this room, but I'm warmed up now.
Well, you were talking about, fear and death and everything. And, I thought about it. I've been thinking about a lot of this stuff. See, I've been a Christian for over 45 years. Born and raised in the church. Got baptized at 19. So I was pretty much indoctrinated into it, from the very beginning. But just recently, I would say within the last year, I really started to deep study the Bible. And I've been listening to a lot of YouTube channels that dive deep into the Bible and what goes on in the Bible, things that are in the scriptures. And it's really got me more or less kind of deconstructing, okay? I'm in the middle of it.
Right.
And I wanted to, kind of tell you what I thought about the fear of death. And I'm thinking, even from a Christian standpoint, you're still going to be fearful of it to a certain degree, even if you think you might be going to heaven, even if you do, because, who knows what heaven is really like? I mean, it's described somewhat in the Bible, somewhat, not very much. There's not much of a description of what heaven would be like. And, except for streets of gold, and that might be very symbolic, So you really don't know what it's going to be like, number one. And here's another thing. have you thought about this? Eternity. Does everybody want to live for an eternity? I mean, you know how long eternity is? It never ends.
Nope.
Whatever you're going to be doing up there, you're going to be doing it for eternity in heaven. It's going to be an everlasting, infinity, ongoing thing that'll never stop. So, and as for me, I like the idea of finite after a certain point of time, at least.
Right. And according to Revelations, the eternity, you'll spend that eternity praising this God, worshiping this God forever and ever, sitting around his throne, praising. Now, there is a little part where it talks about that the tree of life, there'll be 12 trees representing the tree of life, and they'll produce fruit in season. So I don't know how there are seasons up there, but you're going to basically praise this God for all eternity, which sounds like hell to me.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There's not a lot of descriptions that would give any idea of what it's supposed to be like beyond that.
No, but it's a lot of unknowns there, and if that's what people fear is the unknown.
Yeah, and they try to take comfort in the idea that they're going to be with this loving God, and they're going to see all their family and all these other people and other worshipers are going to be there. And Irenaeus wrote that the great thing, one of the great joys of heaven is to look over the edge of heaven and see all the people who are being tormented. And this is one of the people who pretty much created the doctrine that most Christians are following today.
And that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things when I really thought about it. I mean, when you're a Christian, you kind of gloss over all this stuff. You let it go, you let it ride. The Lord works in mysterious ways. You don't question it much, okay?
Right.
But sooner or later, I started, and I said, I was late starting, actually. I've always been late with everything I do, but I catch on late. I don't know why. I kind of gloss over things. But I was thinking that, you've got loved ones that you really want to be there, let's say. You want them to be there, and you get up there and you realize what's going on. They're not there. Now, but there's not supposed to be any negative emotions in heaven. There's not supposed to be anything negative. No sadness, no sorrow, no nothing. So how could that be unless you're actually, your brain or whatever your consciousness is totally altered to the point where you don't realize that your mother or your father or your sister, your brother, or your husband or your wife or even your child is not there. I mean, you've had to be metamorphosized into something that's not even you. You know what I'm saying? You're not the same entity, anyway. So I've had a lot of stuff going on in my head in the past year. I've been sifting through.
That's a legitimate statement, because I've said in other videos that in order for you to go to heaven and be happy all the time, your free will and your affections for other people have to be diminished to a point where they are non-existent because of what you just said. If I'm there and my grandfather is not there, if I'm there and my grandmother's not there, I'm going to have a problem with this place. I'm going to miss them. I'm going to have these emotions unless my free will is gone and my emotions have been severely changed. So and that's not, where is the good in that? If you were going to make us all control little zombies walking around heaven praising you all the time, you should have just did that in the first place.
And not only that, if they weren't there, I mean, they weren't there for a reason, obviously. They didn't do something right. They didn't do something exactly right. They weren't baptized for the right reason, let's say. The little legalities that the Bible has in it, that's there. That some denominations will definitely, they're very steadfast on, you have to be baptized for a certain reason, in water, and if you're not going to make it. You're not going to be there. So these are the things that have really bothered me over the past year or so. and it's led me to believe that, I don't know, a lot of serious questions. And I heard that if you question it, you might as well not be a Christian.
So,
So,
hi, both of you. So, I have a question for you, Patsy. Are you an atheist now?
I tell you what, where I stand right now is I don't know if I'm very much willing to worship the God of the Bible. I think there is a God that created things, but it's not this kind of God that operates that like the one in the Bible did. The Old Testament, what he did, slavery, raping kids, raping women, killing people by the millions or whatever he did. Whatever he did, it was so bad. I don't see that as a God that you could worship and love and have a relationship with in order to worship.
Okay, but the God of the Old Testament is the same God which is described in Genesis, which created the heavens and the earth, all life forms, humans, everything, right?
But that doesn't make
Right,
him good.
right. But see, that also the
Okay,
Old Testament,
okay.
people think,
So if he created everything, he created also all the good stuff, right? All the things that you, me, that we all enjoy, right?
right,
Do you consider that as well?
I do.
Would that also make
So
him
what
one that
I've
created
But
heard,
all the
what
also,
I've
music?
heard, but what I've heard in this stream is only rants. I have not heard one word that this God, the same God which you confirmed, it's the same God which um, made all the things which you described in the Old Testament. It's the same God which made everything, but
mhm.
you only complained about him. You didn't say, well, at least on the other side, he made also good things which we are enjoying, which I enjoy, which is my family, which is good food, which is sex, which is um, discovering many things. There are so many good things in this life that we can enjoy, but you don't mention that. Why not? Why only only mentioning the things which you feel are bad, but on the other side, whatever is good, you don't mention. Why?
I'm seeing more bad than good. And you know, I do see a lot more bad and suffering than I see the good. And I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way it is. Um, and anything good, let's say I enjoy my animals, my pets. Well, according to the Bible, they're not going to be there in heaven, and
Who
they're going
says
to
that?
die. They're going
Where
to
is
be
that?
taken from me.
Where is that in the
They're going
Bible
to be
that
taken
there are
from
no
me.
animals in heaven?
What about the sicknesses? What about the diseases of the children
No,
that
no, no, no,
die?
no. You said there are no
Yeah.
animals in heaven. Where is that written in the Bible that there are no animals in heaven?
Well, they no souls. You have to have a soul to go to heaven, according to the
No,
Bible. According
no,
to the Bible, I'm just saying what the Bible said.
where does the Bible say that you need to have a soul to be in heaven?
Where? It's all over the
Yeah.
place in the Bible. Souls will go to heaven.
Do you have a
Souls.
verse? Can you show me a verse where it says only souls
I
can be in
can't pull it
heaven?
up right now. Of course, I don't have a Bible in front. I can't pull you up scripture right now. But I know I read it. I'm 45 years as a Christian. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. I'm 66 years old.
Well, I am for 40 years a Christian, and I don't know where it states in the Bible that animals are not in heaven and that only souls can be in heaven. I have not read that anywhere
Well, it
in the
doesn't
Bible.
say they will be either.
Well, so you cannot affirm that they will not be. You just don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there's more negative things in this life than there are positive. And
Okay.
there's no denying that. There's no denying it. I mean, on
Well,
a
this
given
is
any given day.
subjective feeling that this world is corrupt. We agree both on that. But
Who made it
quantifying
corrupt?
that there is
Who
more
made it corrupt?
negative than good
Who made it
things,
corrupt?
I
Who made
think
it
you
corrupt?
cannot say that. Nobody can say and quantify if there is more or less good and bad in the world. That there is bad, yes, there is. The question
Uh-huh.
is, what is the root problem?
Yeah, the root problem is the world is corrupt, right? And the root problem is the world is corrupt. And who made the world corrupt? Who initiated the original sin to make it corrupt?
Yeah, Yeah,
God
answer
did.
my answer. You
God
no,
set it up that way.
no,
God set it
no,
up that way.
no, no. You
No.
say you were a
Yeah.
Christian
Yeah.
45
Yeah.
years and you don't know the basics.
He
Wow.
created Lucifer. He created all the angels first. First thing he created was the angels. And he knew that what they were going to do before he even created them. Because he's omnipresent, all-knowing. He's all
So,
powerful. So he knew that Lucifer was going to rebel against him.
so what?
And he knew that was going to cause chaos in the
So
world.
what? Yeah,
And
so
not
what?
only that, he threw Lucifer down to the earth to cause more chaos and to tempt us and to not do what the Lord should want us to do and to obey him. So why would the Lord create chaos like that? If that's negative. There's
And
nothing
there is
positive about it.
there is no redemptive plan described in the Bible whatsoever, and that what is corrupt will be restored. You even you
Why
even
corrupt
whined
it in the
about
first?
heaven,
Why
while
corrupt it in the first place?
the Bible
Why?
says that in heaven there will be no corruption, there will be
Uh,
only joy,
yeah.
happiness, no tears, and even about that you were complaining.
I'm saying God could have done anything he wanted to do when he created this world. He could have set it up any way he wanted to.
And
Anyway.
who are you to
And he knew it did. He
criticize
did it so it would be
your
corrupt. He
creator?
created it so it would be corrupt.
And who do you think you are to be in the position to criticize your creator? Do you think you are wiser, more intelligent than the one that created you?
But
Well,
Ortango,
my morals are.
you're
My
not
morals
answering
are.
any of her questions. You're not answering
My
any of her
mor-
questions or statements. So answer her questions or statements.
She's
If
not
he
going to answer my
created this
question.
world any way he chose to create this world, why would he create it corrupt world? And he claims in Isaiah
What?
that he created
Okay,
all
first of
calamity and
all,
all
when God created the world, he looked at it and he said, it is very good. He didn't say it is corrupt, and it wasn't corrupt. It was
Uh,
corrupted with the disobedience of Adam and Eve. That's when corruption and disobedience entered the world. Now, who is to blame for that? It's certainly not God. It's
God.
yes, it is.
those which
Yes, it
it's
is.
those which transgressed God's command and disobeyed him. Those have to be blamed. And we are part of that
Man.
generation.
Lorenzo, God knows, Lord, what are we going to tell you about this one?
You are basically doing blame shifting. You are
No,
basically saying that God is the
it's not.
one to be blamed for the disobedience of man. And that's simply not true.
So let me ask you a question. Are you a parent?
Yes.
Would you tempt your children by putting a gun, loaded gun on the table and tell your children don't touch it because you might kill yourself when they don't know what death is? As a parent, would you do that?
I think you cannot make a comparison between what happened
No,
in the
that's
Garden of
convenient.
Eve,
Come
in the
on, man.
Garden of Eden,
You got to be able to answer.
because God, he gave a clear command to Adam and Eve and said, you shall not eat from that fruit. The day you eat, you will die.
So
They nonetheless ate,
you would put a gun
and
on the table.
now
You put
we
the gun on
have
the
a
table.
corrupt world. God is
You,
not to be blamed for that.
you would put the gun on the table.
Again, you are making a comparison which cannot be done in regards to what we are talking about,
You're avoiding the question because
Yep.
because it is irrelevant to what
it,
we are discussing.
it is a very reasonable comparison because it is the exact same situation by which your God
No,
set Adam and Eve up. So your
no,
God didn't place something in the garden that was tempting, which makes your God the first tempter, because he said he made the fruit beautiful and made it look good to eat, thereby tempting, putting a temptation in front of Adam and Eve for them to be tempted. It wasn't the serpent who originally tempted, it was the God placing a good looking fruit and don't touch it.
where is that written in Genesis that God put a temptive, good looking fruit in the Garden of
Genesis
Eden?
2.
Can you show me the verse where it says
Genesis 2.
so?
Because
So you are
Eve said she
also
thought it was
inventing
good.
Are you
stories
sure you
because
know
that's
this
not in the
Bible?
Bible.
Are you sure you know this Bible? Because he said he put the tree of knowledge
Well,
of good and
show
evil
me
in
where
the
it
garden.
says that the fruit was. Show it to me.
Why do
Because it
Christians
said, I
Christians
will
love
answer
to
that
do this?
question. I'll answer it. Because Eve said, she told the serpent that it was good, the fruit looked good to eat. That's why. It was tempting to her. He made it tempting to her. God made the fruit tempting to her. And what's more, she didn't know she was doing anything wrong when she took that fruit because
Absolutely,
she
she
hadn't
knew
eaten from
because
she had not eaten. Do you quit interrupting me, please? She had not eaten from the tree of knowledge yet when she made the decision to eat from the tree of knowledge. So she was like a baby, an infant of 2 years old that didn't know what they were doing, or maybe 1 years old even, that didn't know what she was doing wrong, what decision she was making, or nothing. And God cursed her and all humanity afterwards for that. That's
first of all,
wrong.
she wasn't. She wasn't. No, that was not wrong. God knew what He was doing. God is holy. When He
He,
does
he
He
knew what he was
doesn't
doing.
make
He
mistakes.
knew what
He
he was
doesn't
doing.
make mistakes, despite what you are claiming. So you are making false accusations against the Lord. And they were not babies, they were created as adults. And when God told them to obey and not to eat from the fruit because the day they would eat it, they would die, they knew what would happen if they would eat of the fruit. And nonetheless, they disobeyed God and they ate the fruit. So God cannot be blamed for their disobedience. Who has to be blamed is Eve and then Adam, who also ate of it. And now we as descendants, we also live in constant transgressions and sinning and doing what we know is not right. So we cannot even just blame shift and say it was Adam and Eve, and why should we be punished for what they did when we daily also do wrongdoings and we know that we are doing wrongdoings. So you're basically blame shifting and saying that God is responsible what actually we are doing wrong. I
Okay.
mean, sorry, that doesn't stick.
why did you sidestep what I just said about the fact that she had not eaten from the tree of knowledge before she made the decision to eat the fruit? Why did you sidestep that? That is a crucial element of this story. And I call it a story too. You can't get past that. And who cares if they were, you said they were adult. We don't know that for a fact. We don't know what age they were because you see drawings of Adam and Eve. You don't know how they were. You have no idea. There's nothing written in the Bible how old they were when they were created. But even if they were created as adults, even if they were, have you never seen any people that don't have any intellect when they're older? Like people that are retarded or something? They don't know what they're doing. Same situation.
Nowhere does the Bible say that they were retarded or that they were
I didn't say they.
incapable of understanding
I
what
did
they
not
were
say it.
doing. It is very clear that God gave them a clear command and they transgressed it. That is
Okay.
when sin entered the world, and you cannot
Okay.
just simply make blame shifting. But beyond of that, God also restored this situation by Christ coming and paying for our sins and giving us
Pastor,
back eternal life.
Okay.
You're still not gonna face up to the fact that you're still not gonna face up to that they had not
get him.
eaten from the tree of knowledge yet when they made the decision to be tempted by the serpent. Still hadn't done that. They were like a
So what?
baby, 1 year old child that goes up to a stove, a hot stove. Okay, you got a hot stove over there in the kitchen. It's burning high, and you tell the child, that 1 year old child, don't touch that burner, or you
At the
it's gonna burn,
moment,
man. Don't
Patty,
touch
at
it,
the
or it's gonna burn.
moment,
Would you let me
taken at the
talk?
moment that God
Okay,
gave
okay.
them the
He
command
keeps
not
interrupting.
to eat from the fruit, then they were not innocent anymore when they disobeyed.
Okay, so I got a question for you. Can we
Oh,
agree
Eric,
that?
I didn't get to finish what I was saying.
I'm sorry, Patrick.
I didn't get to finish what I was saying. But if Otangelo would let me talk. And I'm not going to finish. I'm not going to give up until I finish what I'm saying. Okay, that's all there is. That's the way I am. If you have a hot stove over there with it on high, and you got a 1 year, you have a 1 year old, close to 2 year old baby that can reach up there and touch that stove, and you tell the baby, don't touch that stove or it's going to burn. Okay, you're going to regret it. Don't do it. The baby touches the stove out of curiosity. Don't know no difference. Just ignorant. Touches the stove. Are you going to curse that baby for the rest of its life because it didn't know, for touching the stove? You going to condemn it to death? No, you're
Yeah,
not. If you have any morals at all, you have
you
any
are
kind of
claiming
moralistic value at all, you will not do that.
Yeah, that's your claim, which isn't in the Bible, that they had the intellect of a baby. That's not there.
I didn't say it had to be a baby. I'm saying the mentality of a baby.
When
Hey, I
God
could
gave
kill his
them the
argument using
command
his own biblical
not
words.
to eat from
You
the
gotta-
fruit, they were fully intellectually capable of understanding that they should obey and not eat
Ah.
from the fruit.
I just got one question.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead. You got it, Eric. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So can we agree that God is supposed to be benevolent, all-knowing, all-powerful, etc.? Can we agree to that?
Sure.
Okay. Now, if he's all-knowing and all-powerful, and he's just, and all of these perfect things, why would he allow Adam and Eve to be tempted, knowing the consequences behind it? Why would that even be a factor of their existence, to be tempted or to be not accessible to the knowledge of their creation?
If I would say to you, I don't know.
So if you don't know that, how do you know that God is everything you say he is? If you don't know that simple question, and we're speaking on a very, very, very simple terms, this is nothing that flies over your head.
God, he wanted to test those two persons if they would be faithful to his command.
Why? If he knows the consequences of their actions, why would he allow them to be tempted? And then after they fail, which he's supposed to already know they're going to fail, why would he curse them? And like Patsy said, all of humanity.
Well, I see it in this way. You can imagine in a football game, you have two teams.
This is not a football game. This is not a football game. You're making a comparison that doesn't even sit on the same playing field.
I am trying to explain to you how I see
let everybody talk in turn.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So there are many games where one player in a team commits a fault, a fail, a foul, and then the entire team is punished for the foul of one member of the team. And I can imagine that maybe humanity is in the team of Adam, and Jesus is the second Adam, and he actually did win over sin. He didn't fall into temptation, and he actually won over temptation and over Satan. And now we can be part of the winning team.
Okay,
when
so
we convert to Christ.
Okay, so by that same logic, what you just said is that on the same standard as football, if one person fouls, then the whole team gets punished. That's punishing the innocent. That is not just. That's not even fair, and that makes no sense.
And Eric, let me add. how is it that you can hypocritically, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it hypocritically right off the bat, hypocritically use an example of a sports team and somebody fouling and suggest that it is comparable to your God's activities? When I expressly ask, would you put a gun on the table and you have children or even adults who don't know what a gun is and don't know what death is, but that's not comparable to this guy. But your analogy is comparable. That's hypocrisy.
That is
To be
fine.
able to come on here and do that.
Well, I disagree with your claim that
Of course.
they didn't know what the consequences would be because God gave them an intellect, He gave them intelligence, He gave them understanding, consciousness as we have today. And when He gave them the command not to eat from the fruit, and if they would eat the fruit, what the consequences would be, they were advised, they knew that they shouldn't do that. And
Okay, now
nonetheless,
show me.
they were tempted and they disobeyed God. So say, well, they
Now
didn't
show. Now
understand
show.
what the consequences would be. Well, no, I disagree with that. They were
Now show me. Now show me in the Bible.
adults, created as adults. They knew what the consequences would be.
Show me in the
So
Bible
no,
where.
you cannot make that claim.
Show me in the Bible where it says God explained to them what the consequences would be if they ate from the fruit of the tree.
It says the
Show
day
me the
that you
Bible.
will eat from the fruit, you will die. It's clearly there.
But they
I
didn't
don't
die.
know what death is.
But they didn't die.
Wait, before
They
you go there,
died
Eric,
spiritually. They died spiritually.
how would they have
You sound
known what
ridiculous,
death
man.
And afterwards, they also died physically. So
How would they have
they
known what
died
Yeah,
death is?
800 years later. Yeah.
physically later and then also spiritually.
Or Tangelo, how would they have known, since they had never experienced it, had never seen it, how would they have known what death is?
Good one.
You can, I think that God, He
You
explained to
think?
them what death is going to inexistence, stopping to exist,
How would they know
deceasing.
what that is?
Now
They wouldn't even know it if they hadn't even for your
How
knowledge
do
yet.
you know that they didn't know
A
what
child doesn't
it
know
is
what
to
death is.
die?
Well, if you could say, how do you know they don't know? How do you know they did?
And mind you, you said, I think. Not that you know, you think.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Did
that's
your
enough.
children know what death was when they were 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds?
No, I had no idea what death was.
Well, I start from the presupposition that whatever God did there, He knew what He was doing, and He wasn't doing anything that was wrong, that was evil, that was unjust, or anything like that. He knew exactly what He was doing, why He was doing it, and I don't think that any of us is in the position to criticize God in regards of anything, because we are limited beings. We do not have all knowingness. We do not know what God's plan is. He, as a creator, He can perform and do whatever He intends to do.
And you
Who are
comfortable
you
with that?
to think that you can criticize God for His doings?
You comfortable with that? You comfortable with that? But you at the same time, you probably don't like being criticized about Christianity or the Bible. That's probably why you're here, right?
Well, I am an apologist, I am a Christian, and I just expose what I think in regards of these matters.
So if you didn't feel justified in what you're saying, you wouldn't be trying to express yourself, would you?
Excuse me?
If you didn't feel justified in what you're saying, you wouldn't be trying to express it, would you? Basically, if you feel that God is benevolent and all-knowing and all this, that, and the third, and we feel, and I'm not going to say we, I can speak for myself, and I feel that He's not, why do you feel is your purpose or why is your desire to come here and try to tell me anything different?
Well, first of all, I follow Christ's command: go and propagate the gospel to all people, and that includes also defending the Christian faith, right? So that's what I am doing basically.
You're defending the Christian
I
faith.
follow Christ's command. That's the first thing, and secondly, I hope that other people can understand how I think and eventually can be convinced of another viewpoint. That doesn't mean that I want to convert others, because that's not my job.
It kind of does.
That is
Kind
your
of
job.
does.
That,
It kind
that's
of does.
what your
You kind
Bible
of do
tells
want to
you to
convert
do.
other people.
Well, no, it is not, because taking the decision to follow Christ,
Okay,
that
man.
is
Look,
something that is individual. So I cannot do that for anyone else. All I can do is confess what I believe, why I believe,
and I
and then
hope
what others
people
do
will
with my
follow.
information, that is
And I
up to
hope
others.
people will follow. And I hope
Well,
because
look, if
you can't
someone,
honestly no
well,
because
if someone
honestly you
decides
can't
to
make anybody do anything,
become a
right? You
Christian,
can't make
then
you.
yes, then the Bible says that we should help others to grow in the faith and to make them the disciples. But that is only after that person decides freely to receive Christ.
Can I chime in? I've been
Go ahead.
patiently waiting.
Go for it. Go
I,
for
I
it.
I like to debate Christians, right? And what I've learned is that you can't really use logic with Christians because they're already delusional in their belief, right? What you have to use
Right.
is flaws of the Bible. So, as he just said earlier on, he said in the Bible, when God created everything, he said it was good, right? Okay. So, if everything was good, how, how did Michael, the archangel, get his bad thoughts in order to rebel against God?
No, I wasn't Michael. It was Samuel.
Yeah, Samuel.
Whatever his name is, the archangel. How did
Yeah.
Lucifer, the angel, who
Mhm.
was in heaven, who was in heaven with God,
Right.
if he was good, he gathered
Mhm.
his evil thoughts to go against God?
Mhm.
Well, God said that it was good in regards of what? In regards of his creation. So he created the world in 6 days, and once he finished his creation, he looked at it and he said that it was very good. That's it.
You see how you avoid the question, sir? You didn't explain to me in the creation if all was good, that means Michael, the angel, had to be good. Then if he was
Mhm.
good, how did he get to be bad? You can't explain
Well,
to me if all is good, or if also your God is consistent all the time, right? That's another doctrine of your
well,
God
I
is
think
consistent
I th-
all the time. So
Yeah.
why is it that he things are good and then all of a sudden bad, and you can't explain that?
I think you didn't understand what I said.
I
So
understood very well. Would you like me to
God
repeat it?
said that it was very good in regards of his recent creation of the physical world. He didn't say it in regards of angels or in regards of Satan or in regards of anything of heavenly beings. He said it in
Okay,
regards of his recent physical creation.
I'll beat you with the earthly creation. If all is good on earth, then how is it the snake was on earth deceiving Eve? How did, if all is good on earth, how is it the snake who was talking against God, earth, to do that?
Yeah, this is a good question, and I don't know exactly how I would respond to that.
I know that.
Hold on, Bible minded. So let me see how you respond to this then. If everything on earth was created and it was good, then the tree of knowledge of good and evil was on earth as well. How can, if everything is good, there be a tree of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil? How can that be manifested on earth if everything was good?
Yeah, evil was the act of disobedience of Adam and Eve. The mere
No,
fact that there
nope, nope,
was
nope, nope.
um,
I'm not gonna let,
a tree
stop.
of
I will mute you. I am not going to let you keep deferring. It has nothing to do with their disobedience or anything of the sort. It said the tree of knowledge of good and evil were present before they ate from the tree. So how is it the earth is all good when there is a tree of the knowledge of good and evil on the planet manifested, according to this story? You're not muted.
Yeah, let me check here.
Check what? Oh, and while you're checking, in Genesis chapter 3, it says that so when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise. So the fact that she saw that it was a delight to the eyes indicates that your God made the tree and the fruit look good. So it is in your Bible, as far as the fruit looking good and being a temptation. But explain how the tree is there if everything was made good.
Okay, let me read here the response. Just a minute.
And if I can add, if the tree of knowledge and the tree of knowledge was good and bad was here, why would he allow Adam and Eve to be tempted?
Because he's the first tempter.
Coach,
Yeah, so
I love this. I wish we
yeah,
had
so
more people.
yeah, so the fact that they had the choice to disobey or obey, this fact and situation, it wasn't bad. What was bad was their decision against God's command to eat from the forbidden fruit.
You're
So yes,
opposite
I
me again.
disagree with that perspective that there is any kind of contradiction here.
No, you are going away from the question again. Their disobedience has nothing to do with the fact that you said everything he created was good. Yet there is a physical manifestation of the tree of knowledge that had good and evil. So therefore, they had to have eaten this tree in order to recognize that evil existed. Now, you also said that this is only the things he said was good was only on the earthly realm. But in the very beginning, he said when God began to create, he created the heaven and the earth. So that would include the heavens that was the home of the angels and all of them. And after that first day of creation, and he created the heavens and the earth, he said it was good. So that would indicate that the angels were created and he said it was good. But Samael revolted against him, according to the story, which you actually can find in Enoch. And
Yeah, there are two things to disentangle here. First of all, the Bible doesn't say when he created the angelical beings and heaven. I mean, when he said that he created the heavens and the earth, then I understand that with heaven is means the physical universe and the earth, not the heaven beyond the physical heaven or the physical universe. So I think that is possible that was created before because I mean there is a supernatural realm beyond the physical universe. So there's that. And secondly, the fact that he put the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden, that doesn't mean that this was an evil act or that the tree itself was evil. That simply doesn't follow. What was evil was the moment that they disobeyed God's command and eat the forbidden fruit of knowledge.
No,
that's not the conversation.
no, no,
Not even slightly.
no.
I understand that you claim to be a Christian apologist and you start out with the predestined to say that whatever God did was good. And so you can't think beyond that. And I get it. But if you were to just open your mind to just pure information, you cannot deny that when this tree was put on earth, the tree held knowledge of good and evil. If everything is good, then what evil would there be that they would have learned of?
Well, the tree wasn't inherently evil. It seems that this is what you don't understand.
No, I understand completely. The tree, I never said the tree was evil. The tree held the knowledge of good and
Yeah.
evil. If you eat from this tree, you will then know the difference between good and evil. If everything is good, how can there be evil by eating from this tree if there wasn't evil already present?
There wasn't already evil present.
Come on,
Evil
man.
entered the world at the act of disobedience.
So what do you do to a child of disobedient? Right? You punish it, right? Because he's done something that you would deem not acceptable, right?
Yeah.
Right? So why would he put something if earth was good, if everything on earth was good, why would you put something there that would tempt your creation that you deem good to go against you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that
Very
God
good
gave
question.
us I think that God gave us free will because he didn't want to create robots which would simply do all the time exactly what
Okay,
he wanted us to do. And that also opened the possibility of love. And that opened the risk of deciding against what is right.
that
God
does that does
decided that it is better to create a world where love and obedience would be possible, and eventually also the risk of disobedience. The
okay.
alternative would be that he would have created simply a mechanistic world where people would have been just pre-programmed always to do exactly what would be good, and
Every,
God didn't want that.
everything you said goes against everything you just said. If God created the earth out of love, then love was already present, correct? So there's no need to create a world out of love if love was already supposed to be present.
Mm-hmm.
Well, God is described as love impersonated. Okay, so God is love. This is His nature. But if
is
you
his
have
nature to is it his nature to murder and punish and have his people rape other people in the name
Yeah, and kill
in his
children.
name in his name?
Yeah, in his name.
well,
Beat
many
slaves to death
people,
almost.
well,
They're
well,
almost dead.
many people
Is
they
that
do
love, what you call
evil
it?
things in the name of God, but that doesn't mean that they
But they're
did what
Christians.
actually God wanted them to do.
But they're Christians. He did
uh,
it to Abel. He did it to Cain and
Mm-hmm.
Abel.
Yep.
When there was supposedly no other people on the planet besides Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel. He did it to them.
what did he
Yep.
with them?
What did he? Come on, man. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You don't know the Bible.
Coach, I'm done, man.
Go read the Bible.
I'm done. I'm done.
He set up a situation with Cain and Abel where he pitted them against one another.
All right.
Whoa.
Setup. It's a setup. It was a setup. Again, I say a setup.
And in pitting them against one another, then he, because he selected one's offering over the other. Now, Christians like to justify that and say that Abel gave his best and Cain did not give his best. Yet the Bible doesn't express anything of the sort. It's just that one brought some meat for a barbecue and the other one brought the vegetables and he preferred the meat, which then caused Cain to have a problem. And then he went and chastised Cain and told him that sin crouches at your door, but you have the power to overcome it. And then Cain killed his brother. And then he admonished Cain and punished him. But he set up the whole situation. If he had just accepted both their offerings, because both came with an offering, then Cain would not have killed Abel. So your God set up the situation for them, the brothers, to be against each other.
Exactly right.
Okay, this is the last answer, and then I'll go to sleep because it's late here. But my answer here, I will read this. Okay, no, God did not instigate Cain against Abel. According to the biblical account in Genesis 4, Cain's decision to kill Abel was rooted in his own emotions and choices, particularly jealousy and anger. I mean, I could continue here and expose
Why did
this.
he have those feelings? If God had accepted both offerings,
let me continue and explain this. Cain's offering against Abel's offering. Abel's offering was accepted by God because it was brought with faith and in alignment with what God desired.
Where did it
Cain's
say that?
offering
Wait.
in Genesis 4:4.
No,
And
no.
Cain's offering, on the other hand, was not accepted, and the text implies that it may not have been offered with the same heart or according to God's instructions.
Do you
Genesis 4:5.
Do you understand that what you are reading is somebody's doctrinal thought process that goes beyond what the actual verse says? The verse doesn't say anything about Abel having a heart for God or doing it out of faith. It doesn't say anything about Cain's heart not being into it. It simply says that they both brought offerings based on their job. And based on one being a farmer, one being a shepherd, they brought their offering, and this guy just chose one over the other. Saying maybe and possibly and inferring as to what was on their heart and how they gave it is doctrine, not your Bible. That's what people have made up in order to try to explain away why this God accepted one over the other without them having a reasonable answer as to why. And
the answer is here. God's warning to Cain. This will be my last word here before I leave. Rather than instigating Cain, God actually warns him against acting on his anger. God tells Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." This shows that God was encouraging Cain to resist temptation and master his emotions instead of letting them lead to sin. So this is exactly the contrary of what you are trying to claim.
No.
And what I am seeing since I entered here is one accusation against God after the other, based on what?
Based on what is written in the Bible.
I leave that to you based on what you are acting on. What I can say is that I have not learned to, and I don't know God the way you guys do, and that's why I continue a Christian.
Well,
okay?
Well, again, I've been a Christian for 45 years.
But I don't want to
Listen to
continue
me.
here. I don't want to continue here.
I'm sure you don't want to continue here.
Go ahead, Pastor.
Because I was getting ready to bring out one more point about the fact that.
Well, no, I want to go to sleep. That is the.
Go ahead, Pastor.
I was saying something about the fact that he was addressing the point that they might not have known what they knew what they were doing when they made the decision to eat the fruit. Well, I can prove that they did not, because after they ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge, that was the only time they knew that they were naked.
Yep.
Before they ate from the tree of knowledge, they had no idea that they were naked. Afterwards, they realized that they were naked. So that's my point I'm trying to make. They had no idea what they were doing, and when they were tempted by the serpent, which decision to make. They didn't know. So, but then we were cursed for the rest of our lives through generation to generation for our lifetime until the end of the world with the curses that we have to go through. And two, a God is supposed to be all knowing and all loving. Why would he set this situation up the way he set it up from the beginning? Even with Lucifer, he created Lucifer. He knew what Lucifer was going to do if he's an all-knowing God. He knew what was going to happen. So this bothers. This is a problem. This is a problematic situation. And it goes on to Adam and Eve. Same thing. Yes, so anyway.
And I agree with you 100%. And this is why biblical apologists fail every time, because all they can simply do is try to negotiate what the text is meaning in order to fit whatever narrative that they have already preconceived, because they have to land in the same spot that they already started from, instead of having the mindset to look at this information and see exactly what it's saying. Cain, that whole thing he was talking about, Cain's heart and all this sort of thing, and God came to him. The issue Cain was having in his heart at that moment was the fact that he wanted to kill his brother. It had nothing to do with the fact that this guy just disrespected his offering, which created the whole situation. So if this guy had not created the situation, Cain would have never had the thoughts of killing his brother. Everybody would have walked away peacefully. But they have to make up doctrines in order to facilitate their narrative so that they can feel like this is a good God when it's just simply not a good God at all. It's a God who, the God who created evil. Evil could not have existed outside of this God if this God is the creator of all things, because evil is something that's present, and evil didn't come because of people. Evil was already present in his creation. Because what would there be need of a tree of knowledge of good and evil? There's already evil there. So this is why I don't debate Christians, because it's a never-ending loop of them just repeating the same stories and stuff over and over again. That's why I let y'all have it. And you guys were doing a great job. You, Double Mind, I mean, Biblical Equals, I think he said, I forgot the name, shit. But you and Bible and Eric just handled it very well on your own. And
well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that, I know you've only been a year, where you, as you said, a year that you've been questioning a lot of things. And earlier you said that, you still have that fear of death. That's something that all of us go through as we deconstruct from this religion, that you still have those ties that hold you to that fear. But the more and more you start to if your journey takes you where you walk away from this religion, that fear of death and fear of hell and all those things, they go away.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was, and I'll get off at this point, and I enjoyed it too. What I was going to say is 45 years worth, maybe more than that, in a church. It's a long time. And it's not something I do with enjoyment, doing this. This is hard on me. But I value truth more than anything. I mean, I want to be true to myself and true to truth, if that makes any sense.
No.
That's what I value more than anything. And so I'm just I'm studying it, I'm working on it, and but what I've heard is making me doubt it more and more every day. The truth of that Bible. And I know it was written by man.
Yep.
Not God. They say it was God inspired and all that kind of stuff. But that's how fallible men are. Men are not, men make mistakes, and a lot of them. And I don't know, just there's just a lot that I'm questioning, and I think I continue to question. Now I've been baptized and all that, and I grew up in it, and maybe I'm still saved, but maybe I'm not still saved. I don't know, but I am questioning it, and I can't help it, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, truth is the thing that brought us all together. Yeah,
once you realize it, you can't unrealize what you have found out or realized, if that makes any sense. You can't unrealize what you've realized.
No, you can't. And it's a hard walk.
Yep.
But I appreciate you, and it's actually been 2 hours, so I'm about to get off here myself.
Were we supposed to get off on this as much? I didn't mean to get off on this as much, but we did, didn't we?
No, well, after the first hour, this is open conversation, so it's perfectly fine. And I'm pretty sure most people in the comments, they always want debate shows, but most Christians are afraid to come onto this show. So yeah, I'm sure most people enjoyed the hell out of it.
But a lot of people, yeah, I think a lot of the Christians is like this gentleman who was on here. I think he's a wonderful person now. I know he is. But I'm just saying, from my perspective on Christianity, there's a lot weighing on you to even question in the first place. Yeah. You've got indoctrination from your family. You got the church. you just got a lot of this stuff just weighing on you, you know, to even begin questioning. And
Yeah.
you wanted to say, no, I'm not going to question. I'm not going to question it. The Lord works in mysterious ways. The Lord doesn't want me to question it, so I'm not going to. That kind of thing. So this is what you have to go through. And it's not easy.
Nope, it was not. But let's call it a night.
All righty.
And I greatly appreciate you being on here. I appreciate everybody who was on here. The debate portion was better than the first portion of the show, definitely. And if I can get more Christians to come on here, we will have more debate shows, but they just fearful. I invite them all the time in the comments of other videos, but they never come on. But I thank you for being on here, Pat. Thank you for our song. Took me back.
You will.
Took me back. So everybody have a nice night. Y'all have a great one. Always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. Good night.
Good evening.